Hello! Today we will talk about how to add the Sigur software to the new controller. The Sigur controller restricts access through entry points by managing actuators such as doors, turnstiles, and barriers. It then transmits information about ongoing events to the system. These can include authorized or unauthorized entries, breaches, fire alarms, etc. The information exchange between the controller and the system server occurs over the IP network. At the same time, the server, planned workstations, and controllers can be physically separated from each other. In this case, an internet connection will be required at each site for communication between the server and the controller, along with the organization of a virtual private network, VPN, or static IP addresses with port forwarding. Let's leave the details of configuring such networks out of this video. So, let's add a new controller to the system. What do we need for this? First, the Sigur server software must be installed on the computer. We have a separate video on how to install it. Next, the controller itself needs to be powered on. To do this, first, we will supply it with 12V power. We will connect patch cords to an available port on the local network router or directly to the network port of the computer on which you are performing the setup. The configuration of the controller's IP parameters is done using broadcast requests, so for the initial setup, the controller and the server must be on the same subnet. It is important to consider that a router blocking such traffic or closing UDP ports 3303 and 3305 will become an insurmountable obstacle to the goal. After configuring the IP parameters, the need for broadcast requests will be eliminated, and the controller can be moved to any point in the network, provided that the UDP ports are open. Well, let's launch the server management program. We'll select the Device Configuration tab and click on the Configure IP Device button. A window will open showing the controllers found on the network. You can select the desired controller by its MAC address. This address is usually indicated on a sticker located on the controller's board. Next, we select the desired controller and click the Edit Settings button. By default, the controller has the automatic IP address acquisition feature enabled via DHCP. If there is no DHCP server available when the controller starts up, it will assign itself an IP address from the range you are currently seeing on your screen. The mode for automatic or manual IP parameter detection is selected with the option Use DHCP. The Server with Code Running option simplifies the configuration of the server address with code by offering several options. If you are configuring the controller from a real server with code, select the option on this computer and then choose the IP address of the desired network interface from the drop-down list. If the setup is being performed, for example, from a laptop, and the controller will later work with a different server, select the option on another computer with an IP address and enter the address of the actual server. The server address can also be obtained automatically, but this will require additional configuration of the DHCP server. If a network monitoring program for IP devices is used on the site, such as Zabbix or Prometheus, it is possible to enable the use of the SNMP protocol to receive information about the status of readers, entry and exit devices of the controller, power supply voltage, access point statuses, and so on. The default password is Sigur. However, if necessary, it can be changed by selecting the Change Password option. If the password is forgotten, it can be reset along with all IP parameters. To do this, we will install the Reset IP jumper on the controller board, power cycle it, and after rebooting, the jumper should be removed. On the E2 and E4 models, this can be done by pressing the IP settings reset button, which is recessed in the device's casing. To save the settings, press the OK button. If the button is not active, you need to check the contents of the fields outlined in red frames. Well, the addition procedure is complete. Now you can close the program and proceed to the access point settings. To do this, we will launch the client program. Next, we go to the Equipment tab. I would like to note that the list of equipment includes not the controllers themselves, but the access points. In the system, it is necessary to know their type, such as a turnstile or a door, as well as the quantity, so all of this must be specified clearly for proper operation. Thus, with a single controller servicing 4 doors, there will be not 1, but 4 lines on the tab. If a license is not loaded into the program, you will only be able to work with one access point, the very first one on the controller, and it will already be present in the list. If the license is installed, the number of access points is unlimited. Let's add a new access point. To do this, click the corresponding button in the software interface. A settings section will appear on the right for the access points selected in the list. Here, you need to select the communication interface, the controller model, and enter its serial number, which, like the MAC address, can be found on the sticker located on the controller board or its casing in the case of E2 or E4 controllers. In addition, you need to select the access point number on the controller. Access points of one controller must start from 1, meaning you cannot add only the second or fourth access point to the list. To save the settings, click the Apply button. After that, you can proceed to the stages of configuring time parameters, assigning controller terminals, access modes, etc. In addition to Sigur controllers, other devices can also be added as access points on the Equipment tab. Call panels of integrated intercom systems, wireless locks, and more. We explain how to connect and work with them in separate videos. That's all from me. Thank you for your attention.